Hey, gang. Let me get a mic in my face here. You know, I'm on schedule. I'm ready. Everything's happening. And some of the other platforms take a crap. I love chatter, but it's time to get the kinks out, or I'm going to have to move on. I can't do this every day. Yeah, I'm trying to include them in the network. And when I've got to log in to the app on my phone, once I'm logged in there, then I can log in on the desktop instead of just logging in on the desktop. So now I'm logging in on the desktop and I'm not seeing the room that I created on the phone, from the phone. There we are. This time it's here. All right. So let me just get me caught up here. And also, we need to go live on Instagram because I hadn't loaded yet. There we are. Yeah, multitasking. And today's show, are you on the list? Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. Are you on the list? And where that's coming from is a bunch of anti-Trumpers had a while ago, and this is old news actually, put together a list of the method by which they answered a question apparently or allegedly or perhaps fictitiously asked by a Trump supporter. Why are you so mean to us? You know how maggots call anti-Trumpers snowflakes? Well, I mean, what is that? Anyway, somebody put together a brilliant list of all the things that we, progressives, liberals, independents, whoever, who don't like the MAGA crowd and what they stand for, put a list of all the shortcomings of Donald Trump. And when I say shortcomings, we're not talking about, maybe he really didn't do as well on his SATs or something. I don't know. But instead, things like being found liable for a sexual assault, not knowing, having this great business degree from an excellent business school, Ivy League business school, University of Penn, but not knowing that when you implement a tariff, your own citizens are the ones that pay for it. And a long list of stuff. I won't get into it. Well, actually, we are going to get into it. And what I love about it, because we create show notes, not only in the description of the video, but even more on an actual document that you can download. And as soon as we get yergs.com or mastiffmedia.media updated, you're going to be able to do it without having to bug me. Again, like we used to be able to do. So this list has citations on it. Point being, you can fact check these claims about Trump and company. I gotta fix the camera here. You can fact check and you can do the homework yourself, like I've taught you for almost 2 years now. So they come up with their own. We put up with Obama. Yeah, a historic president, the first African-American president in our history, fixed the 2008 housing crisis that he was actually blamed for when he wasn't even in office yet, among a long list of other things. You're welcome. And just this, that, and the other thing about how poorly Donald Trump was treated. And true to the MAGA movement, it represents the 7th grade reading level that most MAGA supporters have. Misspellings, poor grammar, but poorly researched work. And of course, not documented. I guess it sucks when you're not documented, huh? Little ice joke. So today we're going to take a look at both of those lists. One was the second one, the pro-Trump one was put out by a jet ski friend who is very MAGA. And as you know, whenever we're here to compliment and congratulate somebody on something well done, we, congratulate them by name and say, hey, you are worthy of this recognition. This is the guy. Well, that's no different when somebody screws up or is just plain ignorant. And so we're going to call out Andrew C. Fisher as well. America One Radio. You can listen to AmericaOneRadio.com. WZQR, Pineland, Florida. On WZQR Talks. Go to WZQR. Oh, something just died. My desktop feed on the Dev Studio for Chatter just crapped out. Yeah, I'm not doing this. I'll send them a message in the... But still on Clubhouse. You can join me there. You can join by listening at Yerg's Radio, yergsradio.com. The link is also there. All of our socials. There's 8 socials that we're streaming directly to, one of which is actually one of the destinations, 7 socials that we're streaming directly to. But one of the 8 destinations that we go to is our own player, which is pinned to the top of all of our other socials. So you can get us if you want. And last week, I got to tell you about this too. Last week, we're doing Thursday's show. That was the one where I forgot to start the video for like 20 minutes into the show. And so I get caught up. I do, oh crap, I forgot to do, okay. Well, better to have 40 minutes than none. So 20 minutes into the show, start, this one screen here to my left and start the video feed. And at like 11:20, 11:21 Eastern, TikTok dings me for something I said. I have no idea what it was because I pretty much sort of started the show over because I knew I was going to get people, watching, as always happens, whether it's on Instagram or any of the others. And now, and I think it's a cable issue coming from my camera. If you're on the video, you saw the screen go black 3 times. What I figured out is that the word Elgato comes up, which is the video card that's built into the computer, which means the card's working because it's sending a signal. That signal, that black screen with the logo on it, is what it sends when it's not receiving anything. So that means that there's nothing coming from the camera. The camera's on, and right now it's working. So that's got to be something either in the camera itself sending the signal or the cable. That's all that's left. So lots that we're wrenching on, trying to pull TikTok owners' heads out of their asses before they get bought out by uh, Herr Musk, our resident Nazi. And speaking of, for those of you defending him, there's a post on one of my socials, I think for the show. Go to Facebook, Up the Middle radio show. And there's a video of him side by side of a white supremacist coming across the chest with the forearm and closed fist and going straight out into what Jon Stewart called the locked elbow. Also, superfan Amy Stahl sent me that screenshot of that same picture. But from his bicep, as he's in that locked out position, let me try to get on camera here. As he's in that locked out position, from his bicep to his hand is actually, I think the color they used was blue, was blued out. It was covered. It was censored because it was a German newspaper posting the photo. And in case you're not aware, the Nazi party is illegal in Germany. As probably it should be. The problem is, a Nazi by any other name, to quote Shakespeare, still smells as sweet. Oh, would Jane be so proud of me right now? Who I think is also going to be taking today off as well. This past week sucked for a lot of people. And I told her, I said, this, being a part of this podcast needs to be fun, and radio show and whatever else needs to be fun. And if you just need to step away, do it. But I think she's also got a little bit of a bug. So between one and the other, I'm just like, you know what? Rest. We'll see you next week or the week after. But yeah, so the Nazi party is illegal in Germany, as is the swastika and the stiff arm salute, the Nazi salute. What Nazis are saying is, well, it's the Roman salute. Yeah, well, look any of them up in a real dictionary. They will all tell you it's the same thing. So he at the inauguration last week did a Nazi salute. The end. You can legitimize and create whatever excuse you want. It's a Nazi salute. You don't believe me? Okay. Well, what has he done in the week since? And I'm not talking about Trump. We know he's a mess. I'm talking about Elon. What has Elon Musk done since essentially being kicked out of the White House? That's the other story, is that he's detested by the senior staff of the Trump administration, and they refuse to give him an office in the West Wing of the White House. And so now he's in the building next door, what's called the EEOB. Stands for Eisenhower Executive Office Building. Essentially, before there was a West Wing, that's where everybody's office was. But now it's where some of the lesser positions, lesser offices are. And so, yeah, it's whatever. So I'm still trying to figure out chatter. I'm just, talking randomly here for a second. I used to do this, but when I did, I used the desktop version, which doesn't work anymore. And so I don't know. I don't know how to ping people, like to bring them. That's not what I want to do. I think I figured it out. That's the invite. That's not the. Oh, this is not worth it. Anyway. Yeah, so he's next door in the EEOB, which is not the cool place when you're comparing it to the West Wing. There's the building just to the north across Pennsylvania Avenue from that. Actually, it's kind of a couple, but it's on the other side of the Blair House on the Townhouse Row that's right on Pennsylvania Avenue. And the corner building is, I think, that one of the Smithsonian art buildings. That's the new executive office building, which is actually much more modern than the executive, the Eisenhower, but also further away. So there's that. So he gets kicked out of the West Wing. And what does he do this week? Goes to Germany and gives a speech to the far right party of Germany, which is actually Nazis. And he's telling them that we need to be proud of who we are. Who's we? How did you get on this list of Germans? You're South African, another country filled with hate. And why aren't you there if your country is so proud? Well, that's probably another. I have to look into that. That's probably a good story. And there's all sorts of German officials being like, yeah, no, you just keep your mouth shut, dude. You don't belong here. Goose baby. Well, actually, funny you say that. He says, man, I love your voice. You would be great on radio or podcast. This is actually a radio show. So thanks. And we do repurpose for a podcast. It's Goose Baby joining us via Twitch. Oh, it's probably just a sort. Yeah, I'm hoping it's the cable, because this is an $800 Sony camera and I've got two of them. So if they're both doing it, that's really going to suck. Can you show me the photo? Oh, yes. Let me dig that up. Amy, one of our super fans, sent us that. And I'll start digging for that as I continue to tell all of these various stories today. Where'd you go, Amy? There we are. Yeah, here it is. This is awesome. I mean, no, it's not awesome, but it just shows what's going on with this dude. Here it is. It's Goose Baby. Hope you're still watching. There is the photo that Amy sent us. And of course, it's in German, so I have no idea what it says. But the point being, and as I said, it's blued out. I mean, they got even more than the bicep. You know, you just see from the shoulder to the body, and from the shoulder down is gone. But what I want to try to do is, let me take that off so I don't show any dick shots or anything. What I want to try to do, I send myself stuff oftentimes. And that's Grady Judd, a local sheriff here in Florida. Here's the here's the thing where why do liberals think Trump's supporters are stupid? Yeah, that's key. No, I didn't send it to myself. Where did I get that? I think it might have been a post that I did that I repurposed that I shared. Let me see if I can find that too. But this video is just makes this so pathetic that people are still saying um, that people are still saying, "Oh, you're too hard on him. It's not a Nazi salute." Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. It wasn't on my personal one, so I got to do some looking here. If I have to, I'll just try and Google it or something. Yeah, no, it's not there either. I wonder what I did with that. I thought I shared it on that. Well, check Yerg's Radio. This is the downside of having all these pages. You're like, okay, well, where's this at? Where's that at? Where's no? Oh, there's one more page, and then I'm gonna give up. That's me now. That was last week. Nope, not there either. Where the hell did I see this? I hate this. I thought I sent it to myself too. Damn it. I'm checking like a bunch of different pages still. Hang with me. Nope, not there. What if it was on? What if it was on Insta? Of course, we're actually broadcasting with that now. I'm wondering how that's going to go. No, but there's the thing about the duck jerky doubling in price since T-Rump came to office. I can't find it, but there is this amazingly well done, well edited video of. It pisses me off because I know I had it. And as soon as this show's over, guess what I'm going to find? So Goose Baby says that I'm presuming it's a he, is that first one. Man, I love your voice. That just sounded very manly. I hate Nazis as much as the next guy, but it shouldn't be illegal, in my opinion. Yeah, I get it. I think that was a reaction that was kind of necessary out of self-preservation back in 1945 at the end of the World War II, when Nazis were essentially defeated kind of sort of for the second time, because World War I was really a fascist Nazi regime as well. It was just the development of it, hence the name the Third Reich. Reich means kingdom. The First Reich was the Roman Empire, and I think the Second Reich was the Ottoman Empire, which was essentially Germany at the time. And so the Third Reich was Hitler and company. And that's why stay tuned, because it's not going to be today. But I'm working on a white paper comparing what was just Trump to Hitler, but with everything that Musk has done. I'm like, I guess I kind of got to compare the entire administration to the entire Nazi party, which is what we're going to do. providing that some of the sources that we need, which are 47 is here, built the wall day and night from Texas to California, high and wide and electrified. Yeah, here's an idea. Let's build it so it doesn't fall down this time. It's a thought. They leave that part out, and that's what I'm so excited, actually, to show you, is the ignorance behind these asshats. Oh, I hate seeing when pets pass away. I'm looking on okay, let me just, I know where the thing I'm looking for is at, so let me just stop clowning around. Let's search here. And yeah, the dude's a good jet skiing buddy, but the ignorance behind the people on the right is sad. And then you post shit like this. 12425 people actually boarding a military plane that was turned around. Okay, so here it is. I'm gonna share this now instead. We'll compare the lists. This is actually kind of exciting. I'm not gonna lie. And let me and for those joining via radio, of course I'm going to change it. I'm trying to see which one works better. There we go. So my friend Andrew Fisher is a jet ski buddy of mine. He's actually from the Penn State area. We love him, but unfortunately, he's a Trump supporter and an ignorant one at that. Because here's the list that that I told you about. We tolerated 44, Obama, for 8 years and kept quiet. No, you didn't. I know, because I spent quite a bit of time protecting the man. You didn't keep quiet. In fact, he continued the tradition of having more threats in his first term than his predecessor had in 8 years. And let's remember who his predecessor was. Mr. Gulf War himself. Well, Gulf War was dead. Iraq War. Who, kept us busy. And, I voted for Bush. I was okay. I mean, it could have been worse. Where'd that go? I just sent somebody to the state of Florida. I don't know why this. Facebook Messenger on the desktop for Windows has not been working. And I'm just, so yeah. Obama, you did not keep quiet for Obama. There was the birther movement. There was ridiculous assertions as to what he was doing. Like, his biggest scandal was when he said he quit smoking. And then maybe we'll say that he did quit smoking. Let's call it that he relapsed and got busted for smoking in the Rose Garden, trying to hide from the press pool. Here's my issue with the whole quote, let us all be a United States again, that we heard from Joe Biden. God forbid somebody try and repair what Trump did. Remember when we thought Bush 43 was the one that divided the country? And soon into the Obama administration, we saw T-shirts with Bush kind of smirking, and the caption read, "Miss me now, don't you?" No, we didn't. Things actually got better, especially the housing crisis that I'm not going to say any president started certain downtrends in economies, because economies are cyclical. And those of us that have an actual education know that. But there are things each one can do to push them along and accelerate them, like Bush did, or minimize them and have them do less damage. Anyway, kudos to Joe Biden for trying to unite the country. For the last 4 years, the Democrats have gone and scorched earth. I think that should probably be on scorched earth, or scorched the earth. But again, this is a Trump supporter writing this, so don't expect the English to be all that great. You have salted the fields, and now you want to grow crops. Who's the one who sold national parks to corporations? Toby Dexter is the guy who Andrew is sharing the post of. Speaking of salting fields, the problem is 75 plus million of us have memories longer than a hamster. Really? Okay, let's test your memory. What started in September of 2020? I'll tell you. The Stop the Steal movement. Yeah. His administration was putting that bullshit story together before the election even happened. Why? I can tell you. More firsthand experience. Woohoo! Back in 2004, I was a site agent at a very large outdoor event for Senator John Kerry, the Democratic nominee running to unseat George W. Bush. And one of his supporters was a huge rock star that I'm sure you heard of by the name of John Bon Jovi. Well, we come out of a room or building or wherever, and we're walking to the cars. The site agent, me, would be the first one on the car, so I go to the senator's door and open it and hold that car door until the boss takes it from me and helps the senator get into the car. However, because of the security conditions inside the building, it was very secure. Many of the shift agents were waiting for us out on the curb at the motorcade. So as such, they were making themselves useful. And one of the shift agents was already on what we call the number one door. So I go around to the other side and fill the hole, which is what I should do, and open the number two door, which is the one right behind the driver. It's the door for the guest that rides with the protectee. That was John Bon Jovi. And as he was getting in, he kind of very rude to me. It's not necessary to say exactly how, but he was. And it was disappointing because I was a huge fan. I remained chill. I closed the door when it was safe to do so, when he was inside, and we all took whatever positions necessary for the motorcade to depart. I'm telling this story to a bunch of senior agents later who reassured me not to be upset with him, because campaigns like that have here's the dude that I was trying to join us at I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to screenshot this a little bit. There we go. And then get out of Facebook so that doesn't happen again. There we go. So I'm multitasking. And there we go. He was kind of a dick. And what I learned from the senior agents after the fact was that these campaigns have in place a very good infrastructure, meaning that they kind of already know that they're going to do well or not. Oh, I can't. I'm trying to bring this one up a little more too. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's a different one. No, it's not. Control. There we go. Cool. Getting there. There we are. Nice. They have an infrastructure, and that infrastructure basically is capable of conducting surveys so that, what did I do? So that they kind of already know that they're going to win or not before the election actually happens. And what a supervisor also told me was that, because he was in the room, was that they essentially shared with Senator Kerry and Senator Kerry and John Bon Jovi, that they don't think it's going to happen. Well, John Bon Jovi's there because, like Elon Musk and all these tech guys, he put in some pretty pennies, which not as much as what it would be today, but 20 years ago, that was some money. And so now he's finding out that his money is going to nothing. And so I was a little, and then they continued to tell me stories about how when he has rallies and promotions and such at his house, it's a catered event, but that he and Bruce Springsteen each actually get us, the Secret Service, our own caterers, food just for us. I mean, that's pretty classy. That's a little overboard, but that's pretty cool. So, yeah, for memories of a hamster, there's January 6th. There's Stop the Steal. There's the fact that on January 6th, Trump did absolutely nothing to try to stop it for what, more than 3 hours? Not to mention the fact that he is the reason it happened. One of the one of the people who were paroled, um, pardoned, was on my friend Brian's show last week and tried to give this, oh, it was just a rally that got out of control. I shouldn't have been prosecuted, this, that, and the other thing. A rally that got out of control doesn't have a gallows built at it already. I'm from a family of construction people. I'm rebuilding this house. You don't just wake up and say, okay, well, I'm going to go to the president's rally today and be so inspired by it that you build a gallows right there and then in a secure area or a park where you don't have parking anywhere nearby. Yet miraculously, all this wood and tools just show up for you to build a gallows. That was planned. And it was planned in advance. So there's your poor memory. And that's something else I got. The 75 million, your number is probably rounded up, which I'll give you. But it's no different than the number from 2020 where you lost. So it wasn't so much that you won in 2024, so much as it is that you lost in 2020, or that Kamala Harris lost in 2024. Because her turnout, when compared to the three different Democratic nominees, her, Biden, and Hillary Clinton, she actually came in third. Probably the reason why Joe Biden is saying he could have won. Because compared to the numbers he received in like the 80s or whatever it was, in 2020, he would have. Remember the Women's March? Vagina hats and all, the day of our after inauguration? Yeah, and now you see why. You're a man, Andrew, or at least you pretend to be one. How would you like if a bunch of women got together and say, snip, snip, dude, drop the drawers? How would you like if an attorney general who's confined to a wheelchair, a state attorney general who's confined to a wheelchair, has nothing else to do but get, in this case, her jollies off by looking at your medical records just to see if you got them reattached? Kind of weird, don't you think? We remember the 4 years of attacks and impeachments. That's called justice. Don't break the law as the president of the United States. The impeachment thing's going to go pretty easy. We remember not our president and the resistance. Yes. Unfortunately, you didn't learn by it. We remember Maxine Walters telling followers to harass us in restaurants. Okay, you know what? That's probably not good. Maxine Walters is not exactly liked. So when somebody like Nancy Pelosi says it, or Chuck Schumer, you got a better argument. Although I don't support that either. These next couple, we remember the president's spokesperson being kicked out of a restaurant. Don't act like an ass. You don't get kicked out of the restaurant. Tell the whole story is the lesson to be learned there, Andrew. We remember hundreds of Trump supporters physically attacked. I don't. I don't remember that. Are you talking about January 6th when they did the attacking on people like Brian Sicknick, who's no longer with us? Rest in peace. Because remember, the Republicans backed the blue. Okay, whatever. We remember Trump supporters getting doxxed and fired from jobs. Well, again, let's tell the whole story. When you're representing your company on places like Facebook and other social media, and you represent that company in an asinine way, and you say things on your social media that makes it look like it's the company saying it, that's probably going to qualify as a problem. Getting doxxed. I like that one. We remember riots and looting. You know what? I think that's alluding to Black Lives Matter. After some members of the Black community were flat out murdered in many cases. But yeah, not okay. I'll tell you what's also not okay is hiding in a bunker while that's happening instead of taking steps to lessen the violence. We remember a comedian holding up the president's severed head. Yeah, also not cool. I've had to investigate cases exactly, and I do mean exactly like that. When I was in the San Francisco office, a very liberal area, I'm not saying that the office was. I'm saying that the region, San Francisco, the San Francisco Bay Area, is a very liberal area, and as such, the local federal court district was not going to hear things that were art, and I do mean literally art. It was a father and son. The father did a statue of George Bush Sr. with an X in his head. So, I mean, almost identical to what Kathy Griffin did. That's who you're referring to. And then the son did the same thing to George W. Bush. And the Ninth Circuit of the federal court system, the one that covers the San Francisco Bay Area, and in this case, Oakland and the East Bay, ruled that to be free speech, that they don't have the means or the actual mobility capability to put an X in the president's head. So it's just a figurative, and the president and the statue of the president in that case is an effigy, meaning he's a symbol of the presidency. And that's it. And so what Kathy Griffin did was actually legal. You might not like it, but I'll tell you something that's worse. During the entire during the entire Biden administration, when U.S. hats are flying your American flag upside down, which is a sign of distress, something you were not experiencing just because you lost an election in what Donald Trump's Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security called, quote, and I know because I was there, quote, the most secure election in history, referring to 2020. We remember a play in Central Park paid with public funding showing the killing of President Trump. It's a movie. We remember Robert De Niro yelling F Trump at the Tonys and getting a standing ovation. Okay. Maybe not the classiest thing, but I'm not going to say that it wasn't without cause. He got a standing ovation after all. Somebody liked it. And again, free speech. And on top of that, when I say it's not probably the most classy thing, we are in very unique times. He never said that to any of the Bushes. And he never said that to Reagan before them. Think about that. We remember Nancy Pelosi tearing up the State of the Union address. Well, it was fiction. We're back to the play in Central Park. The State of the Union address that Trump gave that night was fiction. It wasn't worth anything else. So rip it up and recycle it. Put it in a burn bag. We remember the total in the tank move, whatever that is, on the mainstream media. That's called holding his feet to the fire. Just like they did to Obama. We remember the nonstop and live fact checking on our president and his supporters. What you don't remember, conveniently, is that in his 4 years of his administration, plus the year or so leading up to it, he was proven, fact checkers, proven to have lied more than 33,000 times. That I did the math, and if I remember correctly, that's something like 20 times a day. I don't think that besides this show, which, as I've said before, has show notes for where you can do the fact checking yourself, I don't think I make that many statements to lie 20 times a day. So maybe if Donnie doesn't lie, and if he doesn't have staff that just kiss his ass and support that lie, like, say, for example, Stop the Steal, we don't have as many fact checkers now, do we? Where are we at next? We remember nonstop in-your-face lies and open cover-ups from the media. Yeah, we remember that too, actually. We just talked about it. We remember the nonstop. Oh, we did that one, sorry. We remember the president and his staff being spied on. You mean by the Russians to help win in 2016? Nope, that was Hillary. Sorry. How about folks like Miles Taylor when he was spied on for telling the truth about the illegal activity of the Trump administration? You don't have that on here, do you? We remember 5 senators shot on a battlefield. Oh, ball field. Okay, I don't remember 5. I know that there was 1. I don't know 5, and I don't think he was a senator. I think he was a congressman. Nevertheless, none of it should have happened. So what are you up to now? 2 actual things to pat yourself on the back for? We were one of my favorites. Shout out to Jimmy Kimmel. We remember every so-called comedy show turned into nothing but a Trump hate fest. Why is it that the maggots always are one of the ones using the word hate? Nobody said hate. And again, stop being a dumbass, and maybe they stop writing funny jokes about you. Another thought. We remember 95% negative coverage in the news. Well, that's not what Fox News says, because they're the leading news station. So I don't know where you're getting that number from. But of course, Fox News also paid more than $1 billion in fines, fees, and other monies because they lied. We remember the state governors asking and getting everything they asked for and then blaming Trump for their problems. I think you're just like trying to make stuff up. We remember a Trump top aide verbally assaulted in 2 D.C. restaurants. Again, behave yourself. Be polite. I've talked to people that were there. He was not. We remember people banging on the Supreme Court doors. I remember people banging on the Capitol doors. See how that goes? I remember the weaponizing of the criminal justice system against a former president and those connected to him. You know what? I don't. That's not what happened. What you're talking about there is revisionist. I remember the unequal application of justice. You mean when somebody like Rudy Giuliani goes to a country that's an actual enemy of the United States and does business only to turn around and get them to influence the 2016 election, which, by the way, the intelligence community is standing strong with and has already proven the Senate agrees with it now that it happened. We remember the allowing of protesters outside the personal residence of Supreme Court judges. Well, again, let's not fly flags upside down. Let's stay, I don't know, neutral. You chose to accept that appointment to the Supreme Court. With great power, Spider-Man's uncle once told us, comes great responsibility. I don't feel for him. We remember that we were called every name in the book for supporting President Trump. Well, we'll address that later, so just hang tight. We're actually going to lose. Oh, no, actually, it's Monday. So I think 99.1 stays with us. We might have lost America One Radio. I think they only stay with us for an hour. ZQR, I think, is still with us. KSHP, probably going to lose if we don't, because I think they're only an hour. Come over to Yergz Radio, YERGZ radio.com. Continue the fun there, because we've got another list. We got to do some commercial breaks too at some point. Well, I'm going long today. We were remember that we were called every name in the book for supporting President Trump. Yeah, remember that. We're going to discuss that in the next list. We remember that Hollywood said they would leave after Trump was elected, but they stayed. Well, yeah, that's their right. They can say that. They can do that. It looks stupid. Yeah, well, so what? We remember being called Nazis. Yes. Yes. That's true. And it's true. You're Nazis. We remember being called deplorables. Many of you are. So, again, remember that. We remember being called fascists. Yes. When you govern with however many executive orders, that at least 2 of which have been proven to be illegal, not just like, oh, you slipped up there, but blatantly something that somebody who's already been in office before should know is illegal. Yes, you're a fascist. Own it. We remember the cover-up of Biden's mental decline. Maybe. How's your guy doing? How are those pants smelling today? Has he put together a complete sentence yet? Because you haven't. We remember the lies of a secure border as women were raped and killed. All right, let me stop you right there. I live in Hicksville, Florida. And every day I get local news stories about white, ugly-looking dudes raping people in their neighborhood. None of them are brown. None of them are illegal aliens or undocumented or whatever you want to call them this week. None of them are drag queens. So let's get that straight. We remember the 300,000 missing children, the ones that you separated from their parents, the ones that you want to kick out even though they were born here, those 300,000. We remember our sitting president calling us garbage and Kamala and the media trying to tell us to get past it because Biden doesn't matter anymore. Well, yeah, he was probably, I think that was really poorly timed because of the asshat, when we put comedian in quotes, the guy who at Madison Square Garden said the same thing about Puerto Ricans. You don't remember that, do you? You don't remember that. Okay. Look it up. This list is endless, but you get the idea. My friends will be my friends, but a party that has been on the attack for 4 long years does not get a free pass with me. I'm so glad you said that. Because what we're going to do next is take a look at the other list, and we'll see if you're on it. 99.1 WDJY, America One Radio, WZQR, K-Shop, although I don't think they're with us for the second hour. Anyway, the Biz Growth Collective, Rainbow Radio, Yerg's Radio, and the rest of the Massive Media Network for those that are working today. Oh, that poor dog. We'll be back with more lists right after this. Hey, what's in your wallet? Well, I'll tell you what's in mine, and it should be in yours. Capital One. My credit card with Capital One has $0 fraud liability for any unauthorized use. 0. Flexible due dates. Look in your wallet. See if it's there. Or go to my Facebook page and click on the affiliate link. You get checked for pre-approval. You can apply for the card and enjoy. All right. I'm going to do another one quick just because I'm almost set up. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum. What's that smell? In my studio, it's Aroma by Peter. Scented wax candles with long-lasting wicks that make your place smell amazing. And don't worry, guys. Plenty of scents for you too. For us too. So go to aromabypeter.com. All right. So I don't know what to. There we go. There's one. Buyblacket.com. Do you need another coffee mug? This isn't one of them, but this is one a neighbor gave me. But I think because of a conversation earlier today on Facebook, I decided to do some pride things to include that mug. Go to buyblacket.com. Let me put the QR code up on the screen. Check this screen out. Go to buyblacket.com/Yergs for all of Philip Blackett's merch. Philip is our co-host here on Wednesdays for Up the Middle Translating Trump. I wonder what he says about these lists. He's here on Wednesdays, and he's got some really cool merch. Check it out at buyblacket.com. B-U-Y, as in purchase, Blackett, the color, E-T-T, .com/Yergs, YERGZ/Yergs for 15% off your order. There's mugs, there's shirts, there's house decorations. Check it out, buyblacket.com. I'll leave the QR code on the screen. For those of you listening on the radio, again, buy, B-Y, as in purchase, Blackett, the color, ETT.com/Yergs. Let's get back to the list. And where's it at? There we go. So our new list, trying to see if there's another way I could possibly, I got to use that whole screen, unfortunately. So let's do this. There we go. So this is the other list. This is the one I told you about, I think 2 weeks ago. I was bitching to Jane Stahl about having missed this post. I saw it and I just started drooling because, oh my God, this is genius. And I'm really looking for something to be conservative about because I know the other thing is people think I'm some libtard. It's just that, I love to show my conservatism too. But this MAGA movement is filled with people who keep stepping on their dick. And this is a list of it. Ken says, sorry, I'm late for the show, but I'm here. Always better later than never. In the first hour, in case you're also just joining us, super fan Ken Williams showing up. Thanks for always happy to have you. Thanks for being here. In the first hour, we did what I think is a rebuttal to the list we're about to go over now. A poorly worded, pathetically researched rebuttal to this list. The list answers a question, and I think it's probably, to be honest, a hypothetical question, even though it says a real question from a Trump supporter. Look, anytime you see so much stuff like this, like there's those questions, if you're ever on Quora, if you know what that is, Quora, it's an app and a site where you can ask a question and a presumed expert in whatever field you're asking a question about will answer it because they'll get an alert that, the metadata and the hashtags and what have you is in their field of expertise. Well, oftentimes it gets political. And what I think happens is, in this case, Pamela Lambert will use her other profile to ask some stupid question so she can come to the rescue and answer it. And I think that happens a lot. Now, is Pamela Lambert simply reposting with a cut and paste? Is she the one that actually did all this amazing research? I don't know. But as this story goes, and again, I don't know that it's totally accurate that way, but play along. Remember, fiction. Is that what we talked about in the first list? What's good for one will be good for the other. A real question from a Trump supporter. Why do liberals think Trump supporters are stupid? The serious answer. Here's what the majority of anti-Trump voters honestly feel about Trump supporters en masse. That means all of us collectively. That when you saw a man who had owned a fraudulent university, intent on scamming poor people, you thought, fine, whatever. And in each of these, by the way, is the citation at least one from where such story comes from, in case, like we could very easily do with the previous list, in case you're so inclined to call bullshit. There's your opportunity. Do your homework. Do your fact checking. Done for you. That when you saw a man who had made it in his business practice to stiff his creditors, you said, okay. That when you heard him proudly brag about his own history of sexual abuse, you said, no problem. That when he made up stories about seeing Muslim Americans in the thousands cheering the destruction of the World Trade Center, you said, not an issue. That when you saw him brag that he could shoot a man on Fifth Avenue, and you, the voters, wouldn't care. You exclaimed, "He sure knows me," when you heard him relating a story of an elderly guest of his country club, an 80-year-old man who fell off a stage and hit his head. To Trump replied, "Oh my God, that's disgusting." And I turned away. I couldn't, he was right in front of me, and I turned away. I didn't want to touch him. He was bleeding all over the place. And I felt terrible because it was a beautiful white marble floor. He was concerned about the floor. And now it had changed color, became very red. You said, "That's cool." Oh, that was on GQ and Howard Stern. Then you saw him mock the disabled. And you thought it was the funniest thing you ever saw. Then when you heard him brag that he doesn't read books, you said, "Who has the time?" That when the Central Park Five were compensated as innocent men convicted of a crime they didn't commit, he angrily said that they should still be in prison. You said, "That makes sense." Now, for the record, the Central Park Five were black men who were wrongly accused of rape in Central Park and proven to be innocent after having done time. And I'm paraphrasing the whole case. That when you heard him tell his supporters to beat up protesters and that he would hire attorneys to defend them, you thought, yes. That when you heard him tell one rally to confiscate a man's coat before throwing him out into the freezing cold, you said, "What a great guy." That when you watched the parade of neo-Nazis, and here again, amazing, we're talking about Nazis again. That when you have watched the parade of neo-Nazis and white supremacists with whom he curries favor while refusing to condemn outright Nazis, and you have said, "Thumbs up." That you hear him unable to talk to foreign dignitaries about insulting their countries and demanding that they praise his electoral win, you said, "That's the way I want my president to be." That you have watched him remove expertise from all layers of government in favor of people who make money off of eliminating protections in the industries they're supposed to be regulating. And you said, "What a genius." That you have heard him continue to profit from his businesses, in part by leveraging his position as president, to the point of overcharging the Secret Service for space in the properties he owns. And you have said, "That's smart." That you have heard him say that it was difficult to help Puerto Rico because it was in the middle of the water. And you said, "That makes sense." That you have seen him start fights with every country from Canada to New Zealand while praising Russia and, quote, falling in love with the dictator of North Korea. And you said, "That's statesmanship." That Trump separated children from their families. Remember this one? The 300,000 kids? That Trump separated children from their families and put them in cages, managed to lose track of 1,500 kids, and was opened a tent city incarceration camp in the desert in Texas. He explains that they're just animals. And you say, "Well, okay then." that you have witnessed all the 1,001 other manifestations of corruption, low moral character, and outright animalistic rudeness and contempt for you, the working American voter. And you still show up grinning and wearing your MAGA hats and threatening to beat up anybody who says otherwise. What you don't get, Trump supporters, is that our succumbing to frustration and shaking our heads, thinking of you as stupid, may very well be wrong and unhelpful. But it's also, hear me, charitable. Because if you're not stupid, we must turn to other explanations. And most of them are much less flattering. And there's the fat guy with his what's Betty Green saying here? Perhaps those who support him don't believe any of the above is true, so they can oppose their own desires on his character. Yeah, well. So yeah, I am going to guard this list with my life because I've been looking for it for a second time now for 2 or 3 weeks, however long it's been. Jane, if you're listening, I found it. And they didn't even talk about things like Mark Milley. 40 out of 44 Trump 1.0 cabinet members who refused to endorse him for president this time around. They didn't even talk about indictments and convictions. Well, they didn't even talk about his own senior staff members, like I told you before, who told him in September, when this all started, September of 2020, that the Stop the Steal thing was not valid, that they're going to lose. And when November happened, they did indeed lose what his Department of Homeland Security called the most secure election in history. Yet he believes somebody like Rudy Giuliani, who if you've seen him recently, wow, there's a fall from grace. Okay. There's our list. Where are you at? Are you on any of them? There was another list I wanted to talk about today, too. But I don't remember it. I don't have it in my show notes yet. What I want to know, let's get the chat going again, or give me a call. I got some other things to talk about in case you guys get, shy again or still. But you can call at either. I actually want to test this one line because I'm getting some message. I gotta change that to, are you on the list? Oh. 1-888-88 YERGS, 1-888-88 YERGZ, or 844 gay LGBT. That's a shout out to one of our stations in the network, Rainbow Radio, serving the LGBT community locally, globally, and everywhere in between. Yerg's Radio, positive talk in a negative world. Give us a call, and when we come back, I got to take some things off the screen here. When we come back, I'll either find that other list or we'll talk about Robert De Niro and what he had to say about all things Trump. You're listening to Up the Middle and the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back right after this. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum. The Biz Growth Collective. Are you tired with some of the social media platforms out there? Like the one I recently was kicked off of for telling the truth. That's right. You don't find me on LinkedIn anymore because I ain't there. All pro-Trumpers are. Okay, whatever. Well, go to Biz Growth Collective. You can find them at bizgrowthcollective.com. Tell them Jurg sent you. If you're an actual business, now if you're an employee of a business, make sure you have either a business you want to start up or have your boss's EIN. That stands for Earned Income Number. And what that is, it's like your business's social security number. It proves that you're a representative from a business, because what that does is it filters out people who just want another platform to spew their political BS. This is an actual networking platform for business to business. And I'll tell you what, I love it. We didn't get on it today because we were running late with the other platforms that weren't working. This one works, and I'm bummed that we're not on it, even though we could be. There is a chat room that's 24/7. You and your colleagues can go there anytime to have a virtual meeting. There's different tables. It's actually a room. You see it on your screen. It's like a big student lounge or coffee shop sitting area. At one end is the stage. It's an actual stage like Clubhouse has, like Chatter has. And if there's anybody on that stage, like I will be, giving a presentation, you can hear the presentation. You can also go to any of the seat configurations where if it's just 2 seats at a coffee table, you and one other person can sit there and have a private conversation and tune out the conversation or the lecture or the presentation coming from the stage. If there's a bigger table that has more seats than just 2, anybody sitting at that table can take part in the conversation. And again, you can either listen to or drown out the info coming from the people on the stage. I'm telling you that because it is a great way and an awesome place for you to conduct additional meetings, virtual meetings. You don't have to pay for a extended membership to Zoom or to any of the other platforms when you can also network and actually get good business information from the rest of the site. It'll help. If you are looking to start a business, they'll help you do it. I'm not doing it justice. Check it out at bizgrowthcollective.com and let us know what you think. That the company that's doing it is Build a Space. Go to BUILDA.space. Like .media, builda.space is the name of the company. That's who does Biz Growth Collective. Check them both out today and let us know what you think. So up next, Bobby, Robert De Niro, has his comments on the whole Trump thing. And this is his first apparent conversation since the Trump trial. What's happening there? I'm trying to, I don't want that to overlay me, but whatever. That's not working. I guess that's it. Okay. For those of you on the radio, I'm playing with some of the things that. All right, that's enough of that. Here's what Robert De Niro had to say for the first time speaking out for the first time after the clash that occurred outside of Trump's trial in New York, which, by the way, is the neighborhood that he actually lives in, De Niro.
We're in a very bad situation. I remember you and I about 5-6 years ago talking. I'm down at the Spring Studios. Something about, I said, what just happened just happened. No, it didn't. Didn't happen. It's all about truth. And what we have here is a denial of truth all over the place. And even the speech that he made after is insane. It's just insane. And I'm very, very concerned about it. I think we all are. It's insane. So that's why I felt I had to do something, say something about it, to go on record. We're in a very bad.
So there it is. I think he's saying about going on record back at the time of that clash then. Yeah, you're not the only one, Bobby. And I'm not even talking about me. I mean, even the MAGA people in their list admit Hollywood says everybody's speaking out against Trump. Well, you know what? They didn't do that against Obama. A smaller, and I get Hollywood is more liberal than conservative. I get that. But you didn't have near this many doing it for either of the Bushes. Either one. And you didn't have them doing it for John McCain when he ran against Obama in 2008. You didn't have them doing it for Mitt Romney when he ran against Obama in 2012. But all of a sudden, it's just Trump. Shouldn't that be a clue? Maybe a little bit of a message? I don't get it. Here's another thing I'm taking a very, very strong stance on. If you claim, oh, that's not the one. There's another story that the CNN bosses were told Anderson Cooper and Jake Tapper to go easy on Trump on the inauguration day. I mean, is that why legacy media is giving us opportunities? Is that why perhaps, here we are? And I'm tens of thousands of people listening right now on the radio in whatever station you want. I mean, WZQR gets 2 million hits on their website a month. Divide that by 7. I mean, figuratively, they've got 7 different channels on their website, one of which is ZQR Talks, where we're at. I mean, I'm kind of thinking some of them are going to listen to us. Anyway, yeah, that's not the story I wanted, though. Let me see if I can find it quick through. It was, so I get this news app, and it's on my phone. I could get it on my desk, but it's called Newsbreak. It's a good app. I'm not bitching about the app. But a guy, I've got mixed, I've got mixed emotions about the guy, and it's Sheriff Grady Judd. Where's that at now? Oh, great. Earthquakes feeling in Boston and Maine. Here we go. So this is on my phone. Bear with me for a second. I've got to forward this to what I do is I take the link and I send it to myself. How creative, right? I send it to myself in Facebook Messenger, which, as you know, is at least sometimes on my working on my desktop. But the one that I thought was this story was the one about CNN, and I don't really care about that. The other one I shared at like 5 o'clock in the morning. That's why I was half asleep. Okay, here we go. All right, so there's that. Let me see. What? Yeah, my kid's pretty sharp. God love him. He knows we need to find new car insurance, and I'm not too happy with Progressive, and the fact that they spy on you. So there's Sheriff Grady Judd. Let me find this. He actually opposes. Good for him. I mean, there's so many things. He's the guy down here in Florida that has like at least one press conference a week on this arrest and that arrest and okay, there we go. Here's a person who is not an illegal immigrant. Florida elementary school principal is arrested after 100 kids found at her home for alcohol-fueled party. That's in Cocoa Beach, Florida. An elementary school principal thought that was a good idea. Did you ever screw up and then you see something like this and go, wow, I'm pretty tight. I'm squared away. Oh. All right, let's see if we can. I actually was watching a video on it earlier. I don't know if this is it or not. Is that it? Let's see. That's him. That's Sheriff. And you know, the guy's growing on me. I'm cool with not agreeing on everything. That's normal. That's healthy. You know, his opinions that don't line up with mine are going to expose me to new ideas and another thought. And we're both from the law enforcement community. So I know he's got some like level of moral guidance. We hope, because I know that there's some sadly that don't. But I mean, you know, the stars there are, you don't just put 4 stars on your shirt. That's an actual number. You've got to qualify for a certain number of people that you're protecting in your community and a certain number of offers under your command. So, you know, that's some strength there. Let's see what he's got to say about pardoning the January 6th traitors.
Hello, everyone. You saw the President Trump pardoned and commuted the sentences of those around the January 6th event. Let me make something perfectly clear. You stand in the gap between good and evil. You put your life on the line. You do what's right. Now, the president had to do what the president thought was right. But I can tell you right now, it is never okay to assault, hit, threaten, or beat up a law enforcement officer. I'll always have your back. We'll always do what's right. I disagree with that decision. I disagree with it very strongly. So
Good for you.
I'm always going to support you. And I also sent a warning to any of those that were commuted or pardoned that if they thought they could come to Polk County and resist arrest, that would be a bad mistake. If we have to arrest them and they resist arrest, then we'll use the force necessary and only the force necessary to take them into custody. And if that means beating your butt to get them to jail, we'll do that.
So I've got to pause that there a second because there's some level of expertise of my own that I want to use. He stressed, and only the force necessary. That's something you don't hear a lot. There's a lot of criticism of police and them using excessive force because, and this guy that was on Brian's show, Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits, also on K-Shop, he is on 3 o'clock Eastern, which is noon Pacific, on KSHP, 1400 AM and 1071 FM, Las Vegas. He's got a 2-hour show where usually the first hour he goes through a bunch of different stories, has guests, that kind of thing. And then for a whole hour, dude lights it up with phone calls. And that's where some of the highlights from his show come from, obviously. But he had this guy on last week. I don't remember the name, but he's an actor who was moonlighting as a bodyguard. I don't know. I've taken some acting classes in college. I wouldn't consider myself an actor. I hope he took more than some law classes or maybe a self-defense class before he considered himself a bodyguard. Because I never would have let my protectee go to an event like that in the first place. Like the Secret Service didn't let the president then, Trump, go to the event. And you can hear Cassidy Hutchinson tell that story about how he reached up and grabbed the boss's, or tried to grab the steering wheel of the limo, and the boss grabbed him by the arm and stopped him. Yeah. But he's talking about, the sheriff here is talking about using the force that which is necessary. This guy on Brian's show talked about how they were giving orders that weren't legal. There's really no such thing. In that moment, obeying a lawful order, whether it's the right one or not, really doesn't matter. If that officer gives you that order in good faith, stop. In all actuality, you're not the bad guy. Or the emergency situation that's behind that officer is no longer an emergency. You still have to stop. Because that officer doesn't know that the emergency behind them is over. Or that you're not the bad guy. Or whatever. Very elementary example, but an example. And what often is left out is that law enforcement is allowed and in fact required to escalate, to de-escalate a situation. Cite as an example. I'm brain farting on the town, but there was that school shooting in Texas where the one, I think it was a sheriff's deputy or police officer, local police, whatever, the uniformed law enforcement officer significantly delayed entering the building to neutralize the threat. He was fired and prosecuted. Yes, that's the responsibility that law enforcement carries on their shoulders every day. So anyway, let's get back to the sheriff here.
We have a different attitude here. You're not only Polk County's deputies, you're my deputies. I love you guys. Go out and be safe and be good to the community. Take care.
Yeah, I got to be honest. The guy's growing on me. You know, I don't like the way I would do the press conferences, some of them that he does differently. And I guess what I have to push into my head here is the same thing we've often said about how we do a site, how we advance a site for the visit of a president or whoever. And when my boss comes and does a walkthrough and they say, well, Jurgs, why didn't you do this? Why are we over here? Why this, that, or the other thing? When I did this site, blah, 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 and that's happened. Well, just because I'm doing it differently doesn't mean that my method is wrong. Doesn't make my method wrong. It's just different. And sometimes that's a good thing, especially when you're being surveilled, like we in the Secret Service were on many occasions, most occasions, actually. So it's my opinion that some of the press conferences that the sheriff holds with regards to arrests and so on could be flirting with that defendant's due process. Why do I say that? Because potential jury members are listening to that press conference, and now they may be tainted. So when he gets, and I could picture myself doing it the same way also, even though I'm critiquing his style. But he gets up and he holds a photo of the guy that he just arrested. I'm going to use a napkin here. And he, puts it, right aside. And there it is, centered in the camera shot. Sheriff's face, bad guy's face. This dirtbag. I get where you're coming from, Sheriff. And I love you for it. You're more experienced than I am. And if it didn't burn you yet, well, knock yourself out. Because I'll tell you what it is doing. Like some of the stupid things Trump says. Sheriff Grady is an elected position. And so he's got that to deal with. As opposed to a chief who can be appointed by a city council or a mayor or whoever. And all they got to do is continue a standard, maintain law and order, not screw up in like a human resources type of way, and they keep their job. But the sheriff, somebody quote unquote better could come along and you get voted out of a job. That would suck, especially if that better person isn't. So, like I said, he's growing on me. This obviously helps that situation because it's refreshing to see. I know I've seen. I don't know Sheriff Judd. That wasn't starting right. I know he is a supporter of Trump. I know he is a supporter of. I got to tell you this story too. To be fair, there was a post somebody made that I was about to comment on, and I had to take it back because I fell for the trap. It was clickbait. The post was about his position, Sheriff Judd's position on illegal aliens. And I think it was, you don't see it it was clickbait. And you don't see his full position in the title of the article. And all you get the impression of, I don't remember exactly what it was, so I'm not going to try to quote it. And I don't have that. I never talked about it on the show before today. But if you just see the title of this particular article, you think this Sheriff Grady Judd guy is some Florida hick, which you just heard him. He's kind of a good old boy, but there's nothing wrong with that. He's no dummy. He knows his job. He clearly supports his people, which I promise you can sometimes be rare. But the article title made him appear as though he was racist and just wanted to get rid of brown people. That's what you got from the title. Well, my thumbs couldn't type fast enough. Oh, I was going off on him. And for some reason, I also scrolled through as I was typing, and I saw this one guy comment about the fact that you people are being lazy and you're not reading the article. It's clickbait. I'm like, and I'm looking and like, didn't press send yet. Maybe we better read the article. And it was totally clickbait. His position was that, look, I recognize that some of you might not be here on the most legitimate of terms. And again, I'm paraphrasing. But if you're here breaking the law, and I think that's where I first heard his the phrase he coined from Smokey and the Bandit. You like me now. The late, great Jerry Reed has a song called Eastbound and Down, I think, meaning the gas pedal is down. And Sheriff Judd flipped it to southbound, presuming that these people are coming from somewhere south of here, like the most recent flight being Colombia. And his catchphrase for deportation was southbound and down. But if you did not read the entire article, which I eventually did, he gets the fact that something that DeSantis doesn't. And I still remain no fan of the guy who stood in my driveway less than a week after Hurricane Helene and told me help is on the way. For that to be the last time I heard from the state of Florida. But Sheriff Judd realizes now, having read the article, that there are certain occupations in our society that pretty white boys like me don't want to do. Oh, my camera's caught. I want to show you one of them. There you go. Renovating after a hurricane. And it's not that I don't want to do it. My hands are tied right now. My dad's coming. Help is actually on the way, but it's not coming from the state of Florida. Shocker. And we'll get some other things done, get this thing back. We're actually building a second floor. We're doing some things here on the first floor that are going to essentially weatherproof. I think I'm crooked. They're essentially going to weatherproof the house. So that something like that, or a lesser version of it, or even a greater version of it, comes through again, it's just going to be hose it out, mop it out, and we're done. The studs that you saw in the background are already painted, but they'll be painted again with a water seal. And the electrical boxes will be moved up above. I think the county's asking for 3 or 4 feet. I don't think they're specifying a minimum or a maximum. So we're moving it up above the previous floodplain. And then from that 4 feet and down, which is what this is around the entire house, is going to get vinyl siding after the inside is water treated. It's going to get vinyl siding that still breathes. And what we'll be able to do then is hose it out because it's vinyl, push broom the excess water and the resulting mud and whatever else out of the house as well, mop it up, and we're done. Turn on the fans, let it air dry, open the windows, let it air dry. And not by the end of the week, but by the end of a couple of days, we'll be back to normal. Furniture on this level is going to be plastic PVC. Yeah, nothing fancy. But then again, I'm going up. So, yeah, Sheriff growing on me. I think I'm going to try to get him on. See if maybe we can get him to come on. And I remember January 6th. I was in the Los Angeles office still. And I was actually, let me see, which one is that? Yeah. I would actually be in DC 2 weeks later for the inauguration of Biden. And remember we were working from home still because of COVID. I don't know how bodyguards work from home, but we pulled it off. And I remember sitting on my, is a gnat flying? I remember sitting on the edge of my sofa and my dogs are looking at me like, what the hell ails you, dude? And I just was rocking back and forth. Like I wanted to get into the game, climb over the boards, hit somebody. Turns out I know a couple officers from the I got to think, Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority, Police Department, the airport police. My last assignment in DC when I was at the Washington field office I was the airport agent at Reagan, the lead airport agent for Reagan. I had a colleague who was the lead agent at Dulles. And together we would train our team of airport agents. And I was the guy that did the schedule. You know, I told you, you're going to handle this visit. I'm going to handle that one, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, that was probably one of my favorite assignments in my career. But from that, you get to know the MWA, again, Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority. Government loves our abbreviations. You get to know the MWA police, those that, you know, help you on a frequent basis. And a couple of my friends were reassigned in an emergency capacity to the Capitol. And I wanted to be there. I don't think a lot of people know, but they want to cry for Ashley Babbitt. Nobody's crying for the agent that had to take her life. Nobody's crying for the fact that if she made it through that window, that's where the speaker was. Nancy Pelosi was, I won't say where and how far, but Nancy Pelosi was close by. And whether you like or dislike Nancy Pelosi, she's the sitting legitimate speaker of the House of Representatives at that time. And is third in line to the presidency. And you can't discount that. And that agent didn't. But I just remember watching all those videos, and today I still get pissed off when I think about the senseless deaths, not of Ashley Babbitt. She made her choice. But people like Brian Sicknick and some of the others, all of the others, that did not have to happen if we had a real president. All right, we're about to lose everybody. Oh, there goes 99.1. Probably everybody else too. So why does that happen a minute early? It's not even 1 o'clock yet. All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow. Tuesday's show is only an hour. And God knows what's happened while we've been on the air for the 2 hours today. So tune in again tomorrow. Same places, same everything. 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific. Also tomorrow on Tuesdays, 2:30 London time is the replay of last Friday's show. We're only live one day of the week in London, but we are live across the pond, and that's a start. And they are very appreciative of us and other channels, us and other shows that are on their channel that help more clearly explain American politics from the right, from the left, and up the middle. Thanks for running with the big dogs. We'll see you again tomorrow. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Ken. Yes, it was the Uvalde school in Texas where that officer or deputy, whatever it was, did not enter the building. And he, too, has mixed feelings on Sheriff Grady. Actually, Sheriff Judd. His first name's Grady. Sheriff Grady Judd. Yeah, like I said, he's grown on me. He's growing pretty strong. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, actually, I got to do this, too. Yeah. I got to get in better habit of doing the plugs. Yeah, there's that one. Yeah, I got to do better this. Jane was off today. There we go. Jane's off today. You can find her at studiobbb3bs.org. We are coming soon to DNR Studios. I think I forgot to do that last night, so I got to do that today too. I got to reply to one of Remain. She's the R in DNR, one of her emails. DNRstudios.com. Check them out. They've got shows they don't have shows like ours. That's one of the reasons why we're going there. We are the only political show on their channel, on their website. For Matt, you can find him at Daily Crypto News and reach him at matt@dailycryptonews.net and info@deemerforcongress.com. Blake Fisher can be found at thehomelessconservative.com, Blake at thehomelessconservative.com. You can get all of us news, NEWZ, at Yergz, YERGZ.com. Also, check out yergz.com and mastiff.media for show notes and other info. All right, that's it. I will see you tomorrow. Video clips. There it is.
The average radio listener listens for 18 minutes. The average
Yergz
fan listens for, are you ready for this? An hour and 20 minutes.
How can that be?
Answer most commonly given. I want to see what he'll say next.
All right, okay, fine. But what about the people who hate
Yergz?
Good point. The average hater listens for 2.5 hours a day.
Look, but if they hate him, why do they listen?
Most common.
You've changed. You know that?
Yes, I suppose I have. How about this?
Peace, love, dope.